Thank you, Tali, and good evening, everybody. So I'll never forget the pediatrician breaking the news to me that my baby had Down syndrome. I remember that either I thought he was lying or I thought I was having a really bad dream. I remember drawing the shades in my hospital room and telling the nurses that I couldn't see anybody. I remember coming home with this little bundle in my hands, and he was small, but he felt quite heavy. I was feeling very shocked. I had a lot of questions. I didn't know if he would grow up to be happy. Every mother wants their child to be happy. I didn't know if he would grow old because I had never seen an elderly person with Down syndrome. I grew up in New York City, and the only exposure that I had to special needs, handicapped, retarded children were yellow school buses of children driving past me. And I remember looking into the windows of these buses and seeing these sad, stark faces. They were probably transporting them from, we're talking the 70s or the 80s, transporting them from asylums or to special homes. So for me, it was heartbreaking, to say the least, and quite tragic for my child. That is until we had a surprise visitor to my home. A woman came in shortly after we came home from hospital, and she sat down on the couch in our home, and she looked at my husband and I, Rabbi Moti, and she said to us, "You need to dress your baby in beautiful clothes because he has a beautiful neshama, because he has a beautiful soul." And we listened to her, and then she said, "And if you don't want him, I will take him." And my husband and I were left very bewildered. This was just so counterintuitive to the way that we were feeling. And when she left, we asked ourselves, what did that beautiful angel know that we didn't know? And it forced us to go on a little journey to research into the Lubavitcher Rebbe's worldview on special needs. And the Rebbe has a fortune of beautiful directives to the world on special needs, but 3 really made a difference to Chaim's life, and in particular 1. So firstly, the Rebbe had many letters that he wrote to institutions in America, and he wrote firstly that despite their cognitive disabilities, that children with special needs had the ability to achieve enormous things and even surpass mainstream children in a lot of areas, that they could excel. The Rebbe insisted that the world use the word special in place of using handicap or retarded, because, and to quote the Rebbe, not merely as a euphemism, but because the Rebbe felt that it more accurately described the nature of these children. So with this, we went on our lifelong journey so far with our son. And I remember once on a typical trip to the Royal Children's Hospital, Chaim was about 4 years old. We arrived at the hospital, and I was very bold that morning. I said, "Chaim, you're 4, you can walk. We are not taking your pram." Okay, we get out of the car, I leave the pram, and off we go to see therapists, to see specialists. It was going to be a long day. And I was so proud of myself. I'm going to do this. We're going to walk through this hospital. And that's the old Royal Children's, lots of buildings. And many hours later, the day had gone. I came out of the hospital and I was holding Chaim because obviously he did not survive very long. And I carried him from building to building. And on our way out, I was just exhausted. I had had it. And not only that, it was raining. And the car was parked, quite a distance down the street. And I looked at him and I said, Chaim, we're going to have to really run because it's raining and we got to get back home. And I looked at him, he said, and we started to run. And it didn't take long. And I see that Chaim was not next to me. He actually had stopped. And I turned around and I look back and I see that along the old car park of the hospital, there was this low wall made of stone. And Chaim was standing there, and his feet were together, and his hands were cupped like a prayer book, and he was shaking back and forth. And I thought to myself, okay, Chaim thinks he is at the Western Wall. He thinks he's at the Kotel. And what better place to pray than the Western Wall on Flemington Road in the middle of the rain? And Chaim is praying away. And I at that point, I thought, okay, I'm really losing it now. I'm going to explode. And I was about to just say, like any typical mother would do. And I looked down, and right where his feet are standing in this pile of like wet, soppy leaves, I looked down at his feet, and I see that something is sparkling in the ground. And I go a little closer, and I peel away the leaves, and I pull out an earring. It was a gold earring, and it was quite a large gold earring, and it was obviously real. And I counted, it had diamonds in it, and I counted 7 diamonds. And Chaim is my 7th child. And as I stood there, Chaim lifted his head up, and he whispered to me, and he said to me, Mommy, please have patience and don't run so fast. Not everybody runs as fast as you, and not everybody's running where you're running. I really want to pray. This is my journey. Just let me, Mommy, let me pray. This is my journey for now. And I looked at him, and then he looked up at me again, and he whispered in more than words. He was only 4, and he said to me, and Mommy, beneath my slanted eyes and beneath the wheelchair or beneath the bandages on my head, I have a really special soul that is a part of God. And it's perfect. And it's got a purpose. And it's got a mission in this world. Accept it, Mom. Respect it, Mom. And I listened and I internalized what he told me. And I let him finish praying. And we walked back to the car and we went home. And the truth is that this is the story of the last 14 years with my son Chaim. And I can tell you many stories like this. But in all honesty, if I were to attribute one thing to my son's success, I would say that it's definitely his Jewish education that was the anchor that supported him and supported us to really achieve the remarkable success that we've achieved with Chaim. Today he is a happy, thriving 14-year-old boy, and you can check out his YouTube page. Tonight we were home and he made another cooking video and he's showing it to me, and Mama made another one and he made a salad and he's videoing himself and he's even showing how he washed the lettuce. And you can pop into our synagogue at any given time on a Shabbat, and Chaim leads the service and he reads the Torah and the afternoon prayers. So Chaim has really achieved enormous strides. And I attribute that to his Jewish education. And finally, if I were to reflect on the last 14 years, from the moment that we came home with that little bundle that at the time was really quite heavy. And I know that, my journey, and many like me, I have so many friends with children with special needs. I know that the journey is not easy, and it continues to be an ongoing, day by day, challenging journey. I just would like to say thank you to Almighty God above, who has supported me along the way. Not only has he supported me, but I really believe with all my heart and soul that Chaim is a special soul. And everybody, and I see some people nodding. Anyone that knows Chaim is a special soul. And I just want to say, thank you, God, for giving me the privilege of being able to raise him for the last 14 years. He is a gift. He has taught me so much. And he really is my diamond. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dini. Thank you. Thank you for opening up to us and sharing your story and your perspective on special needs children and how wonderful your journey's been. And it's such a beautiful story. Hopefully we'll be able to put a link up to Chaim's YouTube page as well in our comment section.